What up, my devil? Sensei-tutum here with another video for ya. So, threw out a little poll last night for the members on videos I wanted to do. Did a little options were why I'm still bearish on Bitcoin or on equities and even Bitcoin. That's what won with a landslide. A dojo discussion video makes me sad that didn't win because that's really how you guys are going to become profitable traders, like fucking all of you. So don't worry, I'll cram it down your throat. I know Papa Toot knows what's good for you. Anyway, at least the educational members. Sorry, social. You get what you pay for. What you get an awful lot for what you do pay for it, if I do say so myself. And the other one was how to properly use fib tools was the third video that didn't win. I'll probably end up making all three of those videos this week at some point, or if I get to it. Yeah, I see a lot of, especially out there in the Twitter world and the free Discord here. Not that I look at Twitter often at all. Just post it and then run away because I don't want to see that I get no likes. Yeah, I see people using fib tools terribly wrong. And it's just sad. And I'm gonna at some point I'll put out a public service announcement so that everybody in the world can have that available, because it's just you make when people are using the fib tools wrong and then they're like, Elliott Wave sucks. It's like, well, not only are you not practicing sound Elliott Wave, you are not even using the tools on your chart properly. Anyway, let's dive into this and why I'm still bearish on equities and even Bitcoin. So you don't see any analysis on this particular chart. We'll jump into a different few ones. This is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and I'm not gonna throw a ton of analysis at you. You see it every day from everybody. Sam's making videos weekly on traditionals, on Bitcoin. If he hasn't been over every goddamn count in the world, I would be quite surprised. So I'm gonna just keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid, because that's what I'm good at. And I just want to let you know that we have, the way I look at it is on the larger degree equities here on the ETFs and such. We've got what has been playing out over the past 2+ years, or close to 2 years now. A potential, what we thought was going to be a flat wave, and may, I don't think it is anymore. May have been. If I'm wrong, and if the equities are done and the bull is on, then I am incorrect. This was a flat 3, 3, 5. Super long B, and at this point, let's see. Let me get my brush tool. At this point, this part of the chart is, pretty much a confirmation. Like, this is a 3 and a 3, right? So I think Hove is out there with some counts where this is not a 3, and then this would be coming down in 3. I would say that's potential possibility that we could be wrong there. But I would say more likely, if we're, it's one of these two scenarios that I'm about to cover. And this is, of course, only in my opinion, with my air quotes expert analysis, right? So we've got this 3 that is settled, and then we have this move down. Now, few reasons. So, this is what we were looking for, flat the entire time. Back in back in November, you were calling this. This is what you said, that this was going to be a zigzag here. This was ending. I've shown charts on that I had that out there. I wasn't really screaming from the rooftops because you don't want to scare people, and you don't want to be you don't want to be too counter the groupthink, which at the time was super bullish. Everybody was going crazy. If only it was as bullish up as it has been down. Can you believe it? Anyway, this is also, let's just go ahead and, so it's, it's less than 1618, greater than 1272. It's, it's a long B, very long B. Let's see. pretty perfect zigzag there. This guy here, though. So what's this guy? Let's try to go over here. So now, if I'm going to accept, if I'm going to accept this as an impulse, I have to. I don't know how you do, but you know what I would have to do if I accept it as an impulse is basically accept that all these circuit breakers in here jacked up the count. Now, going in that, you know, I also have a scenario where those circuit breakers where we have to accept it as an impulse, or at least an impulse in play, I'll get to that, would work in my favor, in the favor of the bearish count. Well, actually, let's just cover that now. So this to me is three-way move. Like what we can see on the chart is a three-wave move with these circuit breakers. Now, this is like a diagonal in here. And really, if you think about it, it's not a real diagonal because of all these circuit breakers. Should it have been a diagonal? Maybe. But more than likely, it would have been just a much bigger three-wave. So, you know, is Elliott Wave broken here? It might be, fellas. It might be. This three could have been so much longer without, you know, it could have been an ending diagonal as it potentially was here. I mean, you don't know. You can't know what the count. Can't know what the count is if you don't have price data, right? And you know, if you cut price off at the most emotional times, then you know you cut out the most crucial data for, you know, traders, if you're a pattern trader, because patterns equal sentiment. So yeah, because an ending diagonal would really indicate indecision in the market, and the circuit breakers would indicate that there wasn't indecision, right? So I don't know. It's tricky. Like anybody who comes up and tells you that they know exactly what's going to happen is so full of shit. Like, if somebody presents to you their analysis as fact that has not happened yet, they are a charlatan, and you should delete them from your feeds. In my humble opinion, that is. So anyway. So this could have been, you know, this is a three-wave move in my opinion. I don't see how you count four in here, a four-wave, and that's sort of why, ignore this, please. But that's sort of why I would say that this could still have possibly been an impulse in play, and this could be a flat coming off this, you know, major three-wave, and it wouldn't have violated, right? But it did. So let's work with what we've got. And the option that I think that would potentially, if I'm correct, that we're going to have is a 3-3. And we're going to have another 3 in here. And in order to do so, it can't be a zigzag. Of course, we can have zigzag components of it. So it's going to have to be a triangle or a flat. And, of course, first thing you want to shoot for in that situation is probably a flat. So if it's a flat, what are we looking for? Well, we're looking for a zigzag. And, of course, we want a 90% depth. But two, we haven't even gotten to 618, and you said you're bearish, and if it's going to be 90, it's going to go way up. Well, that's why I said, at what degree? You know, it could keep climbing here, or it could die. You know, we'll see, because we do have this golden corner pocket coming up. But what, you know, and I think what I'm starting to see, you know, get in here and you do the counts, but, you know, we're starting to see the potential of something like this playing out. Potential impulse right into this golden corner pocket. It's going to come down. The bears are going to come out. You guys can call me what you want. I'm not. I'm just doing some analysis. I don't care one way or another. I'm positioned with. I have a bag of cash waiting for this, and I've got a bag of equities positions that are tied to this. So I mean, I don't care what happens. I almost prefer not to have this happen because, you know, I got a dad. He's got investments. He's old, you know. So I'd rather see it go up. Anyway, but maybe we'll get something like this. Maybe even create a new high. freak people out, go down. Now, of course, we're coming up on an, a lot of companies doing announcing this week, I think. At least I'm told by my options trader guru. So that could be impetus for this, sell, even if it's good on like a Walmart and an Amazon, whatever, buy the rumor, sell the news. So that could be potential. And then, even if this is, or don't get me wrong. So if we come down here to the 1 hour, this is, I'll let you guys do the count on it. To me, it looks like this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 flat wave that everybody already had, working on a 5, 1, 2. This will be 3 of the 5, and then 4, and then 5, right? So it looks like we could be impulse in play. I've seen some 1, 2, 1, 2s out there. Those are pretty shite. I don't really want to get into lessons. We'll leave that to the EDU members, but I'll just show you this. This means that your 1, 2, 1, 2 violates guidelines. Not that counts don't violate guidelines, but why would we project guideline violation? Anyway, and not to mention this has typical slope of a potential C wave, right? If it's an impulse, it's a very atypical impulse anyway, right? So it could be, if it's a 1, 2, it could be a atypical 1, 2, 1, 2. It's very typical zigzag. So that's another, possibility that we don't get all the way back up here and stay quote unquote bear. That this is a very, just sharp A, less sharp C playing out. But I always find that equities also go up way longer than you expect them to. Just like Bitcoin, when it's dumping, goes down way longer than most people seem to expect it to. Equities seem to go up. I mean, they shake you out, man. They're whatever. They'll go just far enough to flip your bias, and it happens to me all the time too. And then they go the opposite direction. But so yeah, could be weak ass impulse. I mean, we'll throw the 1, 2, 1, 2 out there. It's trash too, but it's very good looking. A zigzag with an ABC, right? It's just, it's got all the technical standard traits of a zigzag. But what's the context of a zigzag here? How does that fit if we have a zigzag that turns over right here and dies? Well, it could be a triangle. A, B. Successive waves should be at least 55%. It could technically be a triangle, to go with these 3, 3. So we've got the 3, 3 back here already in, right? So the options are 5 wave, triangle, flat. Pretty garbage triangle if you ask me. Really garbage triangle if you ask me at this depth. You would want it much deeper. Or what if this circuit breaker cut off a much longer 3 wave, and this could potentially have been the 4 coming out of it? It's hard to say with all these circuit breakers, with all this Fed interaction, because, when the Fed's spending money gets thrown out there, there's no emotion. Pattern traders, whether you're an Elliottician or some other pattern trader, are trading, on the sentiment of a pattern that, a robot's not fucking pattern. If the Fed's just throwing money out there, and then they're buying corporate bonds through. By the way, I'm not a fundamental analyst, and so you're just listening to some jamoke on that, but you're on Twitter, so nobody you're listening to knows what the fuck they're talking about. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, if the Fed's buying corporate bonds and then they're just throwing their money back into the market, come on, guys, we might have to accept it's something funky. There's fuckery about. So if there's fuckery about, potentially, this could be what would have been a very deep 3 with a 4 coming out of it. Would we have to accept overlap at some point? Probably not. I think this will play out to it. I really do think it's going to play out to a real pattern. I think that it's going to be less harsh than it would have been in a natural state, meaning clean friggin' impulse down. But another reason that I'm staying bear is because this was just not long enough. It was not an adequate move. Clearly, this was a year move, but we expect this move to be the biggest. But we would expect, even in time, 2 waves within a move to tend toward equality, right? I mean, so this thing, if you're just using this little line for the time frame of this A move, potentially, or whatever we're going to call it at the end, WA, whatever, with this, I mean, this move down wasn't not even close to half the length in time. It just wasn't adequate. And that's the main reason that I am still bearish on equities, is that, not to mention the fundamentals where the world is still shut down. Why are people buying companies that are making no money? Stocks are just as overpriced now as they were at the start of this thing based on earnings, if not more overpriced. So again, I'm not a fundamental analyst. I just do charts. But from a chart perspective, I remain bearish as well because of this, mainly this time component. Not to mention everything I talked about with the cutoffs down here and the potential for this to be a much longer 3. That this isn't a completed impulse. This does not show me a completed impulse for a finished flat wave. So I'm looking for the potential, zigzag, flat for a double combination, zigzag, triangle. Those are my options now. Triangle could turn over here. Could. It's shit, but it could. Again, I think there's some fuckery and shit about, so there's that. And then, of course, there's the what I just went over with the real fuckery, that this should have been a much deeper 3 and that this is potentially some sort of weird unicorn pattern that doesn't really exist because of the artificial depth of this 3, and that this is a technical 4, come down, make a new potential low for a 5. Who knows? But yeah, to me, the context isn't that important. At the largest degree, there has not been enough time. I don't see a completed pattern with the price action over the last couple years, and this not being a completed impulse, and this looks more like a typical zigzag, even if it's not. So I could be wrong at this degree. This could be an impulse like I showed. It could even be the 1-2-1-2. No, if it was the 1-2-1-2, then the bear's over. But yeah, I guess that would be, I got wordy and I didn't mean to, but yeah, we do not have a completed pattern. I do not see reason to say this is a completed pattern. So to me, it's not over. This was not enough time. This was not a 5-wave move. So we need more time. We need, and we need to have a completed count. We just don't have it. Let's jump over to Bitcoin. And so, I started on the equities. I know you guys care about Bitcoin. How long are we? 18 minutes. I'm sorry, fellas. No one's going to watch this. Oh, well. So we started on equities because Bitcoin is following the ES, all right? It has been. It's like, look at this. Look at this. It's ever since this happened, it's just perfectly been following it. So, I mean, what is the count here? So the entire time people have been trying to show these terrible non-compliant counts for motive wave in here. Well, now I've actually found one. Now that we've and I always say this, just like we can apply this back to the equities chart we were just looking at. You don't always have to have a count. If you don't see a count that, if the count is shit, the count is shit. Don't go, well, it's the only thing I can see is that this is going to be if I was over here, it'd be like me saying, well, the only thing I can see is that this is supposed to be finishing a flat, so this has to be an impulse. This has to be a completed impulse. But if you look at it objectively, it's not. So don't risk money expecting that this shitter count to play out. Well, it has to be an impulse, and maybe even this is a 4, and like I said, this is 3 should have been much deeper, and this is a 4, and we're going to... No, I'm not investing in any of those ideas. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it wave by wave. And because we've been calling moves in here, great trades in here all along the way. And we'll just continue to keep doing that. We're traders, From an investor standpoint, yeah, these are the questions that you need to come up with. Do you think that this is going to go down lower? And I already told you I'm still sitting on cash. So obviously from an investor standpoint, I'm, both cases. I got cash for this and I got cash for this. But I got money, I got cash to trade as well. Anyway, so we do have a potential valid, I'll let you guys get in there and really dig it out. I'm not going to get down on the Dijin time frame, but potential valid diagonal. Let's see here. 1, 2, let's see. 3, 4, 5. Is this it? I believe so. Let's make it white and larger. Taking my sip of my coffee here. So it's again, you've been using this word a lot, unsurprisingly, because of the, look at the world we're in right now. Very atypical diagonal if it's a diagonal. But it could be much more typical of a corrective move, just like this chart. Just like this chart with the sharp A, and then B, and then the C is much less sharp with declining volume, etc., etc. Declining volume. It's just much more typical of a corrective move. Now we've gotten pretty deep. Let's see here. Get rid of this crap. Let's go from swing high. So, that is a definite take for bulls there. We're coming up on the 707. Let's see. This is the more damning chart. Let's see where we're at with this. Oh, and I also wanted to show you one more with resistance on the NQ. Yeah, see, look at this major resistance we're coming into. Horizontal, Vegas waves, geometric. Yeah, major resistance on the daily time frame. Also, let's get off this one. We'll go back to this one. If you want to throw a trend line on this guy, I guess that's not really it. But yeah, coming into major resistance. So either way, no matter what, we're coming to a completion of count. If it's a zigzag, then we're going to expect some move that takes us down. Whether it just barely tests the lows, whether it just barely tests the lows, whether we don't get to the lows, we're about to retrace, in my opinion. Now, if it's a diagonal, we do sometimes see diagonal, and this is when it's super fucking bullish. Diagonals to do something like this, like no retracement, and then you just get this 10K dilly, right? That happens. We can go back and I can show you instances of that happening. I don't think that's the case in this case. It's like your lottery ticket. So if you want a lottery ticket, go ahead. Yeah, so we're typically, even if it is a diagonal, you're going to expect a deep retracement. So I think either way, we're gonna have a test of this lows, whether we come down, break it, marginally, or don't break it at all. We're gonna come down test. So we're coming up into the halvening in 2 weeks or something. I think that is, as every event, I'm not a news trader, but big events that everybody is aware of, buy the rumor, sell the news, buy the hype, sell the event kind of thing. That happens. So wouldn't be shocked to see it happen now. So who knows what price does in the meantime? Maybe it zooms up until then, and then we just fall off, and this is total bullocks. But again, this is very corrective, not very emotive. It's atypical if it is a diagonal, although I see what could potentially be compliant diagonal at this point, which previously there was no compliant diagonal. So I was even more staunch on my bearishness. Now, just like on the equities, yeah, I could totally be wrong. At this point, everybody's just guessing. I feel fairly confident in this, but not because of any great analysis, other than the fact that this move looks corrective, very typically corrective, very atypically motive. This, same difference. So, yeah, very long-winded to say that. So, hopefully you guys liked it. Toot out.